Welcome to Backboard Banter on the board with your hosts, Matt Middleton and Kevin Rayner, where the banter's as ferocious as that Wemby block on Clay, man. You see how high up he got there? That photo is just nuts.
He's a freak. There's been many a moments where you're like, how is he doing this? The one steal, the stretch arm from the 3-point line, the circular radius this man can cover. We're gonna be pretty excited for all of the weird Wemby that we're gonna see this season.
Dude, he covers the court like nobody I've ever seen in my life. And the funny part is I had to show Marissa when he goes down after the Clay block to go dunk it, and like Clay's chasing him down and Clay's there. He makes Clay Thompson look like a very, very tiny man.
Yeah.
Like a very tiny man. And that is a big person. Like he's a giant by most standards, Clay Thompson is. And Wemby makes him a dwarf. Like it's nuts,
I
man.
would
I've
be
never seen
scared.
anything like it.
I don't know what a picture of me and Wemby would look like. Little 5'7" me trying to stand beside that guy. I'd be, whoo, we almost
I
got the
would be
reverse. We almost got the reverse digits there, me and Wemby. All right, it's kind of insane to think about, but we're
wow.
here, Matt. We're a day away. We'll return into takes before we get into all basketball here on a Monday because Matt got a W. He got a W. We're excited for this man. A Vegas victory to have that fantasy take into the season. We love it, Matt.
Bro, they're pretty garbage, to be honest, the Las Vegas Raiders,
Yeah.
but they beat the Patriots, and I thought that was going to be the end of their dynasty, but seems like I'm wrong. They beat the Buffalo Bills. Bill Belichick got a contract extension in the offseason. Like, things are just kind of weird in the NFL. It's a wild world, especially when like an undrafted free agent can lead Chicago to beat the Raiders, even though Justin Fields
Yeah.
can't score touchdowns, even being the 12th overall pick. I'm getting out of here, but you know what I mean, man. Like the NFL is just a crazy place.
We'll get back to it on Thursday, our regularly scheduled program. We'll get it off quick. Falcons lost. The Commanders apparently don't like that I'm still against their name, so they pulled out the W just to spite me. Come on, Falcons, do better. But it is what it is.
Yeah, man. Unfortunately, the Commanders did lose this week to the Giants, but it's those divisional matchups, man. They're just too crazy for some people. But again, I don't want to talk about football. I'd like to talk about our Raptors, man, because I think I've really liked what I've seen from this season. I know everybody's like all hyped and tweeting like undefeated in the Darko era, like undefeated in preseason against two teams that aren't even in the NBA, so it doesn't really count for me.
Yeah.
I'm really just excited to see the games tomorrow night, and kind of see how it all starts because Wednesday against the T Wolves, man, that's a big one.
We're looking forward to it. We'll see if one day the Raps ever get to have another game on the opening night of the NBA again. But we're gonna have a good matchup against the T Wolves to start the season. A nice, mid ball kind of opener that we're gonna have. And the last thing to say about the preseason, I just want to throw a couple stats at you, Matt, just to get you excited. It's 4 games, it's 4 sample size. I'll be the crazy fan, but I mentioned it, 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago, whatever it was, after that first game. The amount of assists compared to turnovers, the amount of assists on made shots, lots of things we like to see. And Matt, I wanted them to finish with about 30 assists, 4 games. They were the second best assist team in the league with 30 assists a game. So they did what I wanted there. So I'm pretty happy, right? Second in
Man,
total points, 121. They were rolling some of these teams. So we can't really look at that stat. But Matt, their turnovers got down to 20 a game on average, which to me makes me happy considering that first game they almost had as many turnovers as assists, right? So the system is working. It is growing.
well, I think like it's going to take a little bit of a learning curve to really hone in that point five offense.
Hmm.
Like you said, man, the offense has been popping with assists. Like the ball's moving, the team looks super good, and that offense has looked great. But I've also been really impressed with our defense, man. We're actually guarding guys straight up. It's a new experience for Raptors fans last 5 years.
I mean, you look at fifth overall in blocks with over 7 a game. You think about being second in rebounds in the preseason at 52. I mean, we've always had guys that can get rebounds, but seemingly so, we've always given up way too many rebounds in games. The system changes seem to be putting on some interesting games, and that's why we're really looking forward to Wednesday. The T Wolves will be the first to get to experience this new look Raptors and what Darko has to offer. And I mean, I will be unfortunately busy, so I'm probably going to miss half the game, but I will be excited to be running home to get to watch the second half at least.
Man, I think it's going to be a great game. And like, look at what we did to Jordan Poole, man. He dropped 40 points against the Knicks. The Knicks looked like they couldn't stop him. He was unguardable. He comes into the Raptors, probably feeling himself, feeling
Oh yeah.
great. We put him in a cage. Like, he was just locked up. And I love Darko's response because he uses, what should be considered the best perimeter defender in the NBA, in my opinion. I know he plays in Canada and he gets a lot of slack for that, but my boy OG, man, like put him in a body bag, and the rest of the guys, like I said, like we can guard straight up, and if we use this, Pascal Siakam rover defense as the base, like with Jakob Poeltl, I don't think a lot of teams are gonna really have a good time scoring on us, which is exciting because if our offense improves and our defense improves, I mean that's just a net plus all around, right?
This is exactly it, and it's kind of crazy to think that even with the loss of Fred, regardless of our feelings about him, I look around the locker room and I think about how much better in so many areas that we got. And maybe that's just opportunity for certain guys and stepping up, but it gets me excited. It gets me excited because not only are we going to witness a certain form of basketball, but we're going to get to see guys rotate in and out. We're going to get to see more players get to have the opportunity to be a part of the system, to have those great defensive nights, to have those great offensive nights. But we haven't mentioned the key, Matt. The key in all of this, which is our boy Scotty. The man went
Just
off. Yeah,
just
go ahead.
before we get to Scotty, because
Yeah.
I want to talk about Scotty.
Mhm.
I just want to touch back on that Fred Van Vliet thing that you're talking about because Dennis Schroeder has looked fantastic in this offense. I think he might be a better fit for what our team is looking to do. He's not looking to play hero ball.
Yeah,
He's not looking to score every time he goes down the floor. He also gets into the paint a lot easier than Fred Van Vliet does.
surprising, but
So
yeah.
no, it's very surprising, but it's true, man. I mean, just watching like his career, if you notice,
Yeah.
like Schroeder gets to the bucket pretty regularly and confidently. So I think that while I still think Fred VanVleet is a better player than Dennis Schroeder, I think that Schroeder could be exactly what this team needed, and especially for a guy like Scotty to work with a pick and pop partner like him. I think it's going to be great for him. Scotty was showing out this season, or this preseason at least, to start. So I'm excited, man. What have you liked the most about him?
I mean, there's so many ways to look at it. Obviously, the gameplay speaks for itself, so I don't really need to reach into it, but it's the team around him that seems to have not accepted that it's his team, but allowed Scotty to let his fun energy be more of a leadership type of thing. Let it thrive throughout the rest of the roster. The fun is back. And whether that's, because him and Grady have such a good connection, shout out to their Halloween costumes if you haven't seen
Nice
it, Matt.
man, Scooby.
Yeah, exactly. So good that post. But like I just see the vibes back. Darko mentions it, the vibes and the energy is there, and that's the biggest thing, because again, the gameplay spoke for itself. We saw the boys playing hard, but it's everything else that I worry about when you consider about the locker room struggles that we have heard about, the rumors of what was going on with Fred and the rest of the boys. Like, I just want to go into this season with good energy, good vibes, and playing for each other, and that seems to be all of it coming together.
No, man, I couldn't agree more. I think that the vibes are immaculate right now. But I mean, we haven't played a single game. And coming into last season, we kind of felt the same way. And
Yeah,
honestly, like the start of the season was pretty good, like 3 games in. It's just it all kind of fell apart. I think that there's going to be a lot less selfishness on this team. I think Darko's going to demand that from the team. I think he's
yeah,
going to demand that we share the ball, that we, give it our all. And I think he's going to give guys a lot more opportunity. I mean, like, even Malachi Flynn has looked serviceable sometimes in this preseason. He's done some nice things, and
yeah,
I think like his confidence is slowly going to build back up, and that's what we're looking for, man. I think we're a younger team. We have to develop internally as the lone team outside of the United States. We don't
yeah.
get a ton of free agents. We can't attract that talent. And with in-season trades, you tend to overpay for guys. So I would love to see Darko take that development path, kind of like Dwayne Casey style almost, and really build this team back up because Siakam looks, accepting of the fact that Scotty's going to be taking more touches away from him.
Yeah.
He's, accepting the fact that he's going to be more of just a cog in the system as opposed to the system. And that's what we need, man, because I think that we're not going to be the best team if we go by individual standards, but I think our collection of talent can really elevate us to the top, and be greater than the sum of its parts, really.
We always joked that after the championship season, we needed Dwayne Casey back. We didn't need Nick Nurse anymore. So seems like we've found the next step here. But yeah, we're looking forward to a great season. There is so much potential, but mostly it's the opportunity, right? The opportunity is there, and it feels like everyone has really locked into the idea of that opportunity, and Darko's thriving out of it. So we'll be talking about this team all season long. We'll be super excited for what we're about to see from the boys.
Yeah, man, and I like the confidence coming out of the players. I think, guys like Precious, coming out again saying he wants to be on the, all defensive team or DPOY. I think Gary Trent, I really believe his goal should be six man of the year this year. Really relish the role of coming off the bench. He doesn't need to start to be effective. I think like what Siakam said, like if he can just get the minutes,
Yep.
that's what's important and play well within those minutes. And if you're not a starter, you can be a closer still. And I think that he will. And I think that this team is going to be better for like the type of rotations that we have and the guys playing so much more consistently throughout the lineup. So I'm man, just like can I transport to Wednesday already? Like get this get this started.
We're close, but hey, let's roll back. Let's look about the entire league now because obviously we could spend 45 minutes if we really wanted to talking about the Raptors, but we got Thursday still to enjoy, break down that game in the future. So let's talk about predictions. We do this every year. We have some fun with it. We got to see where it stands. We disrespected the Heat last year. Will we do it again? Probably. Regular season. Remember, regular season predictions right here. This is what we're going for, Matt.
Yeah. All right, man. You want to start with the West?
Yeah, I
I
like the
think it's the
West.
easier of the two conferences to kind of predict for me. I think we both have Denver at the top.
If you don't,
Um,
you're making a mistake. Probably at this point, respect them.
to can I be 100% honest? I could see Denver not really being the number one seed this year,
Totally.
just because like they already proved it. They're not feeling that pressure to go out there and dominate. But again, if you don't have it, like the Joker's an animal, and he's him and Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, like that's got to be the best four out of a starting five in the league to me.
They're up there, right? They're super strong. And then the 2-3 kind of gets interesting. Some people may not even have one of these teams up here, but Matt and I, we got the Suns, we got the Lakers. We think both of these teams have some veterans, but also some young talent that is going to thrive through. So I see both of them being at the top. I got Suns 2, Lakers 3 over here.
Yeah, see, and I have the Lakers at two. They did have the best regular season record, after the trade deadline last year. I think AD is going to come back, hopefully, more durable than he's ever been. But I, I honestly, I'm not holding my breath too much for that. But LeBron and the rest of the boys, Austin Reeves with a little bit more confidence coming in at two, and I have them narrowly edging out, the Phoenix Suns because that team's all offense, and it's going to take a little bit of time to figure out the defensive side of that ball. So I think that the Lakers with a little bit more continuity, Denver with a little bit more continuity, 1, 2, Phoenix at three, and then both of us have Memphis at four. Even with the Jaw suspension, they've proven year in and year out
They're
the last
better.
few years. They don't even need Jaw. But I think Jaw's going to come back humbled from this experience, and I think he's going to show out for the rest of the season. So they're going to be a strong candidate to finish in the top four. And then we both have Sacramento taking a little step back of last year, but man, it's just because the other teams are going to kind of leapfrog them a little bit.
This is it, right? The Kings got their playoff woes out of the way. They're not worried about doing what they're doing. And as it proved last year, home court advantage wasn't the, biggest thing when it came down to it. But this team isn't going to go anywhere. Sacramento is around to stay. That beam is going to be lit many times this season, and putting them at 5 is completely respectable when you think about the teams above them, the expectations above them, let alone the players that exist on it. And De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis, let alone rookie, no longer rookie Keegan Murray, I think are going to show out and surprise. But fifth place still could be a 50-win season. I don't expect it. It'd be a lot, but it's still possible.
No, man, definitely very possible for the Sacramento Kings. And then this kind of where we get, a little bit different, and it'll go more to our, MVP, DPOI, MIP picks a little bit later.
Yeah.
But I got the Pelicans, man. I know I do this every year, but I believe in Zion, and I feel like I'm jinxing him right now to get hurt, like when I predict him to finish well. But like you look at that man and what he does with the minutes that he's given when he's on the floor, and
Oh
he
yeah.
is a generational basketball player, man. Like he just is. He's so dominant that I think a full season of him, I think, Brandon Ingram, the rest of them boys, I really like the Pelicans, man. And I really liked them for a while, so I'll keep them at
Dude,
6.
they're so good. It just makes me laugh because I'm like, I should have put a timer on my watch and been like, how long is it going to take? Because I swear, 45 minutes to an hour ago, Matt was like, I'm just not going to put the Pelicans that high this year. I'm not going to jinx them. I'm not going to do this, not going to do that. And here we are. But rightly
I
so.
can't help it.
This is the thing, man. Zion is too good. And if he puts together a full season, 82 games of an MVP like season, which he is capable of, Brandon Ingram's right there. JV's on that squad still. There's a good team that exists. They're ready. They're ready to go. They need Zion to step up and be that number one player that we all know that he has the potential to be. So I respect it, man. But for me, it's got to be OKC. Shea, Chet, these boys are ready. The rebuild is dead. It's over, yet they still have who knows how many draft picks. So we could see anything happen in OKC. So I'm ready for Shea to be in the playoffs all the time now.
Man, I don't hate it. I have them at 7. I think that, that team's going to take a step forward. I'm a little concerned, like I am with Zion, about Chet's health. Definitely more concerned about Zion than I am about Chet for some reason. um, but yeah, I could see this team taking a huge step. I mean, you didn't even mention Jalen Williams, who I think could have a monster season after having what was a fantastic rookie season and really turning it on after
Yep.
the All-Star break last year. So I could see that, man. Though I do have the Warriors at 8. I know you have them at 7. I can't see Steph Curry being able to carry this team again. Like Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, already older. They lost, Jordan Poole. Like, what is gonna come up with this team? Kaminga hasn't taken the step. Moody hasn't taken the step. They don't have Wiseman anymore. Why do you see them at 7, man?
I mean, I think about this team. They've always been good. Steph Curry is going to continue to be what he does. I think Wiggins might have a bit of a bounce back year after kind of being like, oh, we won a championship and relaxing and now kind of settling back in. And I guess Chris Paul's going to steal a game or two. The refs they hate him. It is what it is. Nobody expected the Thunder to make the playoffs X amount of years ago. And Chris Paul said, you know what? I'm going to make that happen. So what happens when he has teammates like Steph, like Clay, like Draymond, like I
Wants to
just,
punch him?
I was looking. Look. It's a simple fact of the matter is, do I think the T Wolves are better than the Warriors right now? And I just don't. And so that's why I have them there. And the T Wolves for me go into 8.
See, man, I got Mini all the way down at number 10 because I think we both have Dallas coming in at number 9.
Mm-hmm.
So they make the play-in tournament. We'll see if they can and claw their way into the play-in. But I think like Luka Doncic is just like that guy. Even though the team around him is gonna suck this year, I can see him dragging them to the 9th seed. And you know, I don't know what I'm gonna get from Kyrie, so I bank on like maybe 40 games really of Kyrie play.
The expectations are minimal there. I hope that Grant Williams has a good time and gets to be a staple for Luca because a guy like him fits along great. And if you ever somehow build a championship around this guy, Grant Williams can easily be a part of that. So, we're hoping for six. I mean, we want success for the Mavs. We like Luca. We love Luca. Luca's a guy we talk about all the time. But man, these Mavericks teams that have been put together, I don't even. I'm not gonna even get into it. Just can't do it.
No, man, it's a rough one, man. It's kind of like my feeling about Minnesota with Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns playing together. That's why I have them at 10. You've got the Clippers, just not enough games for Kawhi and Paul George.
Straight up. Like, I mean, this has to be the year it all comes together, or this is the norm and what they will expect for the next few years, because there's no way that they're gonna go into this new arena and this new season without star names like Kawhi. You gonna do a rebuild? No, you're gonna let the glory days of this team live out and maybe hope it comes together. But there's not
Glory.
much. There's not much to go on.
Bro, I would blow that thing up. I'd trade both of them for assets and I'd move on. I would go into this new arena with a new franchise. That Shea trade for Paul George is looking just horrendous right now, man. But that's why I have them at 11. I feel the exact same way about you. I don't think Kawhi's going to play enough games. I don't think Paul George is going to play enough games, and they don't have much outside of those two. Keeping Terrence Mann over James Harden was kind of wild to me. But
And
it might be the right move because James Harden's a team killer.
yeah, and they believe in Terrence Mann. That's what the reports are coming out of that camp.
He's
But
28, man.
the
He is what he is.
yeah, exactly. I got the Pelicans falling here to 11. Maybe they'll have a little Heat magic from last season where I don't respect them and then they fly up. But Zion, man, get healthy, and prove me wrong. That's it. That's all I gotta say.
You know what? It's fair. It's fair. I'm just hoping Zion's healthy.
I know
You're
you
going
are.
with the norm, so it's fair. And then this is kind of interesting here. I've got Utah coming in at 12. I think Laurie and the boys, after a decent year last year, they have another good one. You got Wemby dragging the Spurs all the way up there, man.
I
I mean, not that
see.
high.
It's not that high. Okay, yeah, exactly. It's only the 12th spot, and it could be 4 games above the Jazz. You never really know, right? He's so good, and I really like Jeremy Shohan, and I like some of the other pieces that are coming together. And it's Greg Popovich with a bunch of kids that are definitely on board when a guy like Wembanyama is about to be the leader and respects coaches, a la Tim Duncan, a la the Admiral, right? Like, how can you not feel good about this team right away when we've seen what the Spurs can do with a generational talent? And Wemby,
No.
he might be the next him. So I can't. I want to feel like one of those people that was like, I believed in this team, and I kind of do. So here we are.
Bro, it's why I have them at 13
Hmm.
because I think Wemby's going to definitely pull them ahead of Houston, and I've got Portland last because even though I like their roster, I like the young talent, I just think that the continuity is going to be weird. I think DeAndre Ayton is just a locker room cancer, and I just don't think they're gonna figure that out, and I think that's what's gonna kind of hold that Portland team back. We don't
That's
even really need to talk about Houston.
I mean, I have Houston at 13 because Fred can do what Fred does, and he's got a little bit of Raptors love. I'm always gonna have a little bit of Raptors love. Look, I still respect DeLon Wright. Okay, you gotta have love for ex Raptors. It's the way that it is. But I'm with you on that Blazer sentiment. There's talent there, and the Blazers could make the play-in. Heck, they could win the midseason tournament for all we know. They have that kind of talent, but is it going to come together? Are they going to be able to do it? Is Scoot the guy? There's so many questions. And then for me, I look at the Jazz and I'm like, they're in the middle, and maybe they're willing to go full rebuild. Maybe Larry Markkinen is that guy for another team. You know what I mean? Like, maybe Walker Kessler takes a step back. I don't want that to be the truth because I'm a big Walker Kessler fan, but these are the realities of the NBA, and you know, being the bottom of the league and getting first round picks has turned out pretty good in the past couple of years.
It's kind of crazy how many like stars are on each team, and you can make a case for this team over that team, and I mean that's what the NBA is right now. It's a tight league, and I think the whole sport's better for it. But that's the Western Conference. Slight differ, but more or less the same. And I think the East is quite similar as well. I think the top four is almost unanimous between you and I.
I think it is unanimous. Oh no, I'm wrong. I'm sorry. We're starting at the top with opposites because I have the Bucks first. You have the Celtics first.
Yes, yes. I think the Celtics, after the embarrassment against Miami, Joe Mazzulla's got the second season under his belt. They hired a lot of coaches. Sam Cassell. Was it Stan Van Gundy? Yeah.
I think
Who
so.
they added,
It's one of the
and
Gundys.
then yeah, I think that like that's gonna work out really well for them, and I think Milwaukee's gonna take some time to kind of figure themselves out. They lost some key rotation players. Dame and Giannis obviously fit like a glove, but it's still the rest of the team around them and how they're gonna play. Adrian Griffin being a new coach as well. So I think they come in at number two.
It's funny because
Close.
you could say similar things about both teams, right? With the way things have changed, and Porzingis is still a big question mark for me when it comes to the Celtics. Obviously, the way his game has evolved since he came into the league and what he wanted to become, I think is exactly what the Celtics will need. But I worry about the size and I worry about the bigs for some of the matchups that they're going to see this season. And so that's why I have the Bucks first because Giannis beats everybody. He's the big truck. He goes through anything he wants, and I think him and Dame are going to light up the league, man. I'm excited to see it. But 3-4, we're on the same page, right? Cavs and then
Yeah.
76ers to close it out.
Easy, easy. I think the 76ers like four might even be their ceiling just with the James Harden stuff. But I like Tyrese Maxey and I like Joel Embiid, so I'll keep them there. You got Heat culture at five, and I've got the resurging Raptors and the new Darko culture at five.
So
Maybe I'm just a homer bias.
that's the thing, right? I mean, the Raptors are at 6 for me, but this Heat team, I've disrespected them year after year after year since we've started this pod. And they're not a regular season team, so it's fair when we're talking about regular season predictions. But yeah, you know what? I felt like throwing the dice this year, right? Putting the Raptors at 5 for me was like, I feel like if I do that, it's just a little high, and I'm okay with them sitting at 6 so they can then go and beat Philadelphia. Anyways, that's speaking things into the future, right? But yeah, I want to respect the Heat for once, man. I just Jimmy, that haircut made me feel bad for him, so I gotta do it. I gotta do
So, man. Oh man, I'm gonna disrespect them all the way down at
it.
seven because I got Indiana coming in at six. I like Tyrese Halliburton, and I like what that team did last year. Benedict Mathurin. I think they're gonna take a little bit of a step forward. I could be wrong about the Pacers. I think that's my like weakest playoff team in the East. Personally, like I think they've got really two divergent ways, but I really believe in Tyrese Halliburton, so I'll keep him there.
We like that team. They're also one of the most Canadian teams in the league, so we gotta be having some love for Indiana. They're sitting at 7 for me, so they're not too far
Right there.
behind. And again, this is the middle of the Eastern Conference where a lot of these teams just kind of squish together, right? It's not that
Yeah,
solid top
absolutely.
four that we know are gonna most likely almost all have 50 plus wins, right?
Well, you think about last year, man, how close that middle rung was from 12 to 6,
Yep. Yeah,
right?
exactly. And then this is where it gets fun, right? The New York teams show up here. They're in the playoffs. They're not forgotten about. We can't have it. We're flipped though. I got the Nets at 8 and the Knicks at 9. Matt's feeling the other way about it. To be honest,
Absolutely.
in another universe, I might have been the same as you. Like that's how close these two teams I think could be for me.
Absolutely. I think Ben Simmons looks like he's gonna play with some confidence this year, and that's
Yeah.
like what this team needs to do. I think that it's gonna be a resurgent year for him, and I think that the league is gonna be a little bit ready for the Knicks. So that's why they dropped to the 8 seed. But I think Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, and RJ Barrett just have too much talent to not be a top 8 team. So
They're good, man. You hope the thing is like basketball's better when the Knicks are playing well. That's what the world says. That's sorry. That's what America
sure.
says, not the world. It's not the world championship. Anyways, let's move along here. Let's go to 10. I got the Hawks. I think you also have the Hawks. I want
Yes.
this. I want to believe in this team, right? I want more for Trey Young. I want more for this squad because they're good. But
For DeJounte.
for Dejounte, yeah, more for Dejounte than for Trey. But like, you start to pick apart this team and you think about things here or there, and you really just, I can't put them above some of these other squads here. It's just not worth it. It's not right.
They're just mid to me, man. Like it's rough, but it is what it is. And I think Trey Young might be like the most hated superstar in the league and
Yeah,
like least respected superstar in the league. And that's for a reason, right? So yeah, I think nine's good for them. They'll make the play in. They'll show out a little bit, but I think yeah, that's probably their ceiling. And then I've got Chicago at 10. and you have the Washington Wizards? Can you explain
Look,
that to me?
look. Jordan Poole's gonna have at least 4 plus games this season. Okay, I like Kuzma. I think Denny. I think Denny Adiha is gonna step up and be good for this team. Look, the bottom five in the East, they are what they are. You can flip them around. You can do what you want. I'm throwing a dart at the board. That's the honest truth, man. I'm thinking Jordan Poole is gonna be averaging 32 plus a night. It's gonna be stupid.
Yeah, I think that that's gonna rub a lot of his teammates the wrong way. I mean, have you already seen the clip of Denny and like already mad
Yeah.
that he's not getting the ball, throwing his hands up in the air? I think that's gonna affect team chemistry. I think, a little bit of a cancerous personality, and that's why I have them last. They're my 15th seed. I've got Detroit above them. I've got Orlando above them. I've got Charlotte above them. And like LaMelo Ball is going to have a good season. I
Yep.
think Paolo's going to have a good season. I think Jaden Ivey's going to be, great with Cade Cunningham. But again, like you said, the bottom of the East is just, it is what it is. It's the bottom of the East. Until these guys really explode out, like that's kind of where they're going to stay.
They're all hoping. I mean, who knows, man? Brandon Miller could be great for this Hornet squad. That's why you have him higher than I do. I mean, maybe I should have hope more, but it's a weird place at the bottom of the East right now because some of these teams have had some draft picks that have really turned out, and they've had some serious flops and fumbles, and most of these teams are here because they belong. So the Bulls maybe not so, right? Like if Lonzo comes back and is amazing, but that doesn't look like it's happening anytime soon in terms of coming back. Like he totally could play and get back to maybe his potential, but the Bulls, man, the Bulls might be the team that, contenders this season are trying to be vultures at, being like, please give us what you have. We want it. We need it. So we'll see what
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah, man. I don't know, man. The Bulls, I just think with Jamar, with Levine, with Caruso, Vucevic, I just think that like they're a little bit better than 12th or 11th, but 10th. Like it's marginal at this point.
Okay. All right, shall we get into these final awards? Throw some more darts at the board. Get the big one out of the way. That MVP. Matt, I'm gonna lead us off. I think it's the return of Giannis. I think it's his time. We've had a couple seasons away from it. I think he's going to thrive. I've said it enough times. Playing with his new teammate, and so he's gonna be my number one for MVP this year.
You know what, man? I would kind of agree with you there. But I'm gonna throw out Luka Doncic. I believe in Luka. I got Giannis as my two. And then I hate to do this, but I gotta do it, man. Zion at number three, and then Tatum as a consolation honorable mention. But
Over
man, my
here,
boy Zion, please.
over here throwing out all the names. I'm gonna add more because it's MVP, right? You can't have enough names. Obviously, I got Jokic as my runner-up because maybe some people are gonna be like, "Let's do the narrative. Let's give him three in a row. It would be crazy." And Jokic is pretty insane right now. And then I was like, let's mention Shea Gilgeous over here, just slightly, because
Fair.
we're talking about wild cards, and he's the type of guy that could totally be in top five MVP vote come the end of the season.
No, absolutely, man. Especially if that team pops this year and Chet goes off, like I could definitely see it. But we're gonna go DPOY. I got my boy Giannis being Defensive Player of the Year. I think covering up for James' mistakes and the rover position and losing Drew Holiday, he might have to guard more of the best player on the opposite team more often. So I think that brings him to the top. The rookie Wemby coming in at number two, though. That kid, I think he's going to be that good in year one.
That's super respectful, and to go off of your Giannis thing, because I actually have Brooke Lopez here taking this, robbed from last season in my opinion, and your conversation and your idea about Giannis having to do a little bit more of the footwork outside. I think that's going to mean that you know this guy Lopez has to be that solid center and isn't going to have Giannis as much as he has had in the past potentially, and so I could see that dynamic potentially working out. And Matt knows I love me some Brooke Lopez. And at second, I got OG, man. I want OG to win this award one day, so I can't not mention his
Oh,
name.
right.
I know, right? And then my wild card, which is kind of hilarious considering where we're talking about, is Drew Holiday, man. He's gonna go to Boston. He's gonna be real upset about a situation, and that team needs defense right now. So he's gonna have the opportunity. So that's why I got him
He's
there.
gonna have the Marcus Smart role, man. So
Yeah,
no, that's good. I like it. I kind of want to throw Walker Kessler in there. He had such a good rookie season. Evan Mobley, but those are just like some honorable mention dark
I
horses.
gotta I
I
gotta
really believe
say
it's gonna be Giannis.
I gotta say, I feel like I've disrespected Walker Kessler on all of my lists here because his name does not populate anywhere, and I'm a big Walker Kessler fan. So we're putting him in the bench. We're just next year,
Know
man.
that.
Walker Kessler next year. Prove me this year, and then I'll throw you up next year because I want to, man. I do. He's always the question mark, right?
Absolutely, man. Who's your MIP, man?
I mean, we've been talking about it. We talked about how disrespectful the Wizards situation was. It's Jordan Poole, man. 32, 33, 34. Who knows how many points a night this guy's going to do. Now, just don't look at the total number of field goals because not going to go well. And then runner up, it's a certain Scotty Barnes, maybe. Who knows? This guy could suddenly have a crazy season. I would dream for it, but that's just
See,
a true wild card.
I think Scotty is my MIP. I think he's going to pop into superstardom this year. He was looking absolutely dominant in the preseason, and that ankle injury makes my heart stop. But he seems to be okay. Hopefully the rest. Hopefully they're a little bit lighter on him at the beginning of the season, and he comes out. And then I got Jalen Williams, man. He really turned it on after the All Star break, like I mentioned, and I think that going from rookie to being an All Star level player is definitely within the cards for him potentially. So I'll shout him out for MIP this year.
The last name that I have to mention, the third guy on my side, is Anthony Simons. You know,
Oh,
the Blazers are looking for a new number one. He seems to be the last guy standing. So I'm throwing a dart at the board. We love to do that over here.
no, that's a very good dart. I like it. All right, man. Rookie of the year conversation. I gotta start it off with the one that we both consensus. Well, actually, we don't consensusly agree on this. I mean, he's definitely in your top three, but I got Wemby, man. I know you have Chet. I love Chet. I think Chet's definitely in the race, but this man is a unicorn, and it's just he's gonna be nuts. I think he's gonna be generational for sure.
In the world of betting, if you don't take a risk every once in a while, you're going to be bored. And so that's where I'm at right now when it comes to it. And I've watched Chet. I've thought about, the year of NBA development that he had while recovering. He's hungry. Headbutt obviously wins in preseason, but I think Chet's going to come out and try his best. And I think if anyone, I think Scoot is obviously there and was going to have a chance, but I
Yeah.
think Chet is the guy that is going to come out and really put Wemby a run for his money. If you are not tuning in, like if you're free and you're not tuning in to those OKC Spurs games this season when those two are about to play, you are missing out on the future of basketball. Like, let me be clear, because that is what these two guys are. And so Wemby's
No,
the obvious choice. Chet is just I want to be weird, I just do.
no, I like it. I like it. And obviously you threw out Scoot. Scoot's easily the third for both of us. But we'll move into coach of the year because I don't think you like either of my picks, but I got Darko at number one and Adrian Griffin coming in at number two. I think that, when teams go on deep playoff runs and look like juggernauts in a coach's first year, they typically win. So yeah, but I think Darko is gonna really improve this team, the Raptors. We're gonna go from I think like 41 wins to 46 wins, but we're gonna have immaculate vibes,
Yeah.
and that's gonna be the major difference and why Darko is the winner this year.
I mean, the media already loves him when they talk to him, let's be honest here, and that's a timeline that I can get on board with. So I'm with it. I'm also over here trying to think of a team that is going on a great run, and I look at the Cavaliers. I look at JB Bickerstaff. I think what he's doing with these young guys is fantastic, and if they are solidly a third or even second place in the East, right up there with what the Bucks in Boston can be doing, if especially if Philadelphia decides to crumble like they do, I think some people are going to look at Bickerstaff's way because he's just kind of always been around and been there the past couple of years.
I
So that's
think
why
he was
he's my
wrong
number one.
last year.
This is
He was
this
wrong.
is you'll notice there's a couple names on my list that talk about some Robbies from last season, but my runner up, It's Mike Malone, man. The Nuggets over there might just decide to run the league again, and Malone is the one who decides that that's going to happen because he enables Jokic and he enables the rest of this squad to do what they do.
Man, he's a fantastic coach. So definitely not a bad pick. Going into sixth man of the year, I do like Gary Trent, man. Like I said, I think that should be his goal. But then I'm gonna go with our arch rivals for my runner up and Peyton Pritchard. I think that they lost some depth. They're gonna need him a lot more this year. And just what's gonna happen? I think Peyton Pritchard out here, man.
It's a great pickup. I've got Gary in my second spot. I'm over here with Emmanuel Quickly of the Knicks. I think a little bit of a curveball for me, honestly. I've always liked his game. I think that if Brunson hadn't have showed up, I think that he would be playing at a higher level than he currently is. And I just can't trust Randall. And somebody has to step up if Randall's not going to play the game that he is. And I think there's a lot of potential for six-man players to kind of shine this year. I think there's a lot of opportunity for any guy to really come out and play this. And so Emmanuel Quickly is a guy who has the opportunity, much like you're saying with Peyton Pritchard as well. And so this is the most difficult, most interesting, weird of all of the awards to pick because six-man is like
Oh yeah.
there is no true this is what you have to do to win this award. It's kind of like what are the vibes coming into the end of the season? What does the league feel? What does the media feel? So it's a fun award, definitely, when people do actually get to
No.
win it.
No, absolutely, man. It's a great award, and I think we got some good picks out there. You want to move into all NBA first teams? I got Luka, Shea, Tatum, Giannis, and Joker. How about yourself?
I mean, we as we discussed, there's no reason to have a different starting five in our NBA. These are pretty much, especially with how I feel about Giannis and Jokic right now in the league. These are the best five players that are going into the season. They're going to have great years. We're excited to see it.
Yeah, I don't know if they're like necessarily the very best five players, but I think they're gonna have the best years. Because I still am a huge Steph Curry fan, and that's why I got him on my second team with Devin Booker, Durant, LeBron, and I had to throw Embiid out there. Him and Joker are just always battling for that 1-2 spot.
You've got it. And I do have to roll back half a second because I did just get a ping that apparently Giannis just signed a 2-3 year extension, 186 mil. So he believes in this team, man. He's staying. The dream of Giannis out is dead once again. Okay. So, but back to these teams. My second team, obviously Steph and Booker. We talked about how much we like them. Booker is just the right age, in the right position. Can do whatever he really wants in the East or in the West right now. And then it gets interesting with the bigger players when it comes to this because I think we agree here. Durant, LeBron, and Embiid to close out. Quite
Yeah, yeah.
simply,
Man,
they're good. They're good.
10 for 10, man. All right. And then on the third team, Dame Dalla playing with Giannis, Bradley Beal playing on that Phoenix team. I got my boy Pascal Siakam making that team. I think Scotty elevates him into that spot again. My boy Zion, if I'm going to throw him out as a dark horse MVP, he's got to be on an All NBA team. And I
Yep.
got AD. I think AD is the last real true center. Like you could throw a cat, you could throw out. I'm sure you're going to throw out a guy like Sabonis. But like that's kind of the other options there.
Nailed it right there because like I'm 1-3 with you when it comes to Dame Beal and Siakam, but I gotta have love to Brooke Lopez. I've talked him up all pod, so he's got to show up on this team here. And then last but not least, Domantas Sabonis. The Kings, we both had them up high. De'Aaron Fox is great. Domantas Sabonis is great. One of them is going to be an all-star for sure this year. But I think Domantas Sabonis is one of the underrated bigs in the NBA. And when he has a running mate like Fox and they've had as much time as they can to develop their individual game with each other, I think that King squad has only continued to grow. And I think Sabonis is just going to continue to shine. And so that's why he shows up there for me.
No, man, I get it, man. Having not like keeping De'Aaron Fox off an All NBA team was difficult for me. I really wanted to throw him on that third team, but I just couldn't.
Guards, man.
Because I
It's
think
so hard with
yeah,
guards.
there's so many, man. All right, well, we'll move on to the first team all defense. I think this one was easy for me. I think, like you said, Drew Holiday, man, gonna have a crazy season in Boston. I got Mikal Bridges at the 2 spot, Giannis at the 3, 84, and Jaren Jackson Jr. as a first team All NBA defensive guy. When you win DPOY, typically the voters remember you.
It hurt me to leave JJ off my first team because he's on my second. He was an easy on. Actually, no, wait. You know how many times I scribbled out this all defensive team here? Because I do have J. Jackson on my first team. Okay, so I've got
Right.
actually Alex Caruso on my first because I'm trying to be fun,
All
and I
right.
and I respect that guy a lot, and he always does great things for me in fantasy. So I'm gonna give him a little bit of a pad here, and then I got OG at 2. I originally had him at 3, but I slid Jaren Jackson into the third there, and then I got Giannis and Brooke Lopez, my DPOY, coming in to close out my first team. And the second team is where it gets the most fun. Obviously, I have your first team in my second team with Drew and Bridges up top.
All right.
And then it comes down to 3 names that I don't think are on yours because I have LeBron, I've got Wemby, and I've got Evan Mobley to close out my teams.
I do have Mobley and I do have Wemby at the top two
Okay,
spots in
okay.
the second team. And then I got me the OG vibes because we got to get him on an all defensive team. And I got Smart and Caruso. I think Alex Caruso, like you said, he's a heck of a defender and he's gonna get his love, man. And I like these teams. I like that we differ a little bit. There's only so much that you can, right? These guys are perennial award winners for a reason. So I think it's gonna be a fun season. But yeah, those are the predictions and those are the picks, man.
It's going to be a great year, and there's probably people out there, Wemby on an all defensive team. Look, there's people out there who think he's going to win Defensive Player of the Year already. So, we're at least, putting, yeah, he's over there, right? Exactly. So we're putting our
Right on,
expectations
baby, right on.
high, but not too high. But it's going to be a great year. There's going to be some great basketball. I think that leads us into our takes of the night because obviously we got games going on tomorrow. Matt, I will let you lay out the runway.
Well, man, I'm gonna go for both games tomorrow night. I'm gonna take Denver over the Lakers. I'm gonna take Phoenix over Golden State to start the season. Start off 2-0. Let's go, baby.
Nice and simple, nice and easy. I was looking back and I feel like I almost always try to start the season with a points prediction. Last year I had Giannis, I think, starting with like 40 plus points. That didn't happen. So we're just going to rinse and repeat and try to go with another guy who usually does well. I think LeBron's coming into this season. I think he's going to crush. You're probably right. Denver's going to win that game. But if LeBron doesn't have 35 plus points to open the season, I don't know if the statement is made for this guy because, people are talking about, oh, he's old, he's this, he's that. We're about to see one of the most ridiculous seasons from a guy in his 20th year that
20.
nobody will ever be able to connect and relate to, honestly. I think the statistics for LeBron's year are going to be unshatterable in the future.
No, man, I 100% would agree with you, and it's a good prediction. One last bonus prediction, if you're still with us. Scoring champ, Kev. I think I got Shea Gilgeous-Alexander being the scoring champ this year.
Oh,
Um,
that's a great
I
pick.
like that man. I like what he does, and I'm put him up there.
Okay, well, it's dumb, but I've been saying it constantly. Jordan Poole, man. Jordan Poole, let's go, Jordan Poole. 60,
What a
60 shots a night. Let's make it happen. We know you can get to 35 points. Piss off your roster, get to 5 wins. Who cares, man? Jordan Poole, get yours, my guy. Get it.
all right, man. Well, I think that was it for us. You good to wrap it up.
Perfect, everybody. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook at The Board Sports. Like, subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and check out theboardsports.net for new episodes and blog posts.
And we'll talk to you next time.